As part of the preparations for a bar mitzvah service, as Tristan's family can testify, there are a whole load of honors that need to be given out. Decisions need to be made around which uncle or aunt or relative will get to open the ark, hold a Torah, have an aliyah, and so on and so forth. We have the set series of honors that we give out in our Temple Shir Tikva community, and they're pretty standard across Reform synagogues around the country. But where I grew up, back in England, there were two other honors that were added to the list. Not for the service itself, but at the party afterwards, for every single bar mitzvah, there would always be two toasts. One for the President of the State of Israel, which would be followed by the playing of Hatikvah, and another in honor of the Queen, which would be followed by the playing of God Bless the Queen. And so in this way, we see the way that our traditions from different countries can be significant. In my lifetime, and even in my father's lifetime, it's only ever been God Bless the Queen, never a king. And if there's a bar mitzvah taking place this weekend in England, they'll already have changed the words, and they'll be blessing a king. And prayer books, I was thinking about this today, prayer books across the country are going to need to be edited and have an insert stuck in or over a page, because the prayer that begins, "Our God whose dominion is everlasting, we ask you to bless our sovereign lady Queen Elizabeth," is no longer valid. Before going any further, to address your questions. No, I never met her. On the whole, I'm indifferent to having a royal family, but I was surprised by the sadness I felt as the news broke yesterday, and I don't have strong feelings about King Charles III, but I do think he's been preparing for this for his whole life. But I do want to share a brief reflection about the Queen and the lessons that I think she taught that are relevant to all of us, no matter whether we are subjects and citizens or whether we rebelled and threw the tea over into the harbor and so on and so forth a few hundred years ago. The first lesson is the importance of humor. While this might not be what first comes to mind when thinking about Queen Elizabeth II, there have been a number of stories circulating about the good sense of humor she had in everyday encounters. But she was also willing to play along with a joke. In the preparations for the London Olympics in 2012, one of my most vivid memories of those Olympics is watching her and James Bond, Daniel Craig, walking through the palace with corgis following behind as she played fun with that role and that character. And then just a few months ago, for her Platinum Jubilee, the enduring image might well be of her sitting across a table from Paddington Bear when she took a marmalade sandwich out of her handbag during the meeting, finally answering the question of what she carried in that bag all those years, and laughing at herself and her position, even on that occasion as she was celebrated for 70 years on the throne. She was also able to be sincere and honest about her struggles. One of the enduring memories that I have is in 1992, towards the end of a year in which Windsor Castle had suffered extensive damage in a fire and during which 3 of her 4 children's marriages had broken down. She gave a speech and talked about her annus horribilis, her horrible year. Rather than sweep her own bad news under the carpet, she tackled it head on and used her own challenges as a way to talk about the fact that we all have our virtues and our vices. She used her family's struggles as a teaching moment for everyone and elevated everyone through this. Then there was her sense of duty and service. While people are subjects of the Queen, she always appeared to take her sense of duty and responsibility to the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth immensely seriously. Right up until the very end, she was fulfilling the obligations and responsibilities which she recognized as coming with her position. On Tuesday, in her last formal engagement, she welcomed Liz Truss to become the new Prime Minister, ensuring once again the smooth transition of power until the very end. While I am sure that there are a lot of perks that come with being the Queen, it was clear that she was always motivated by a sense of responsibility to her title, her country, and all of the citizens that she served. And finally, there is the lesson of what it really means to be a leader. She was a leader who provided stability throughout many tumultuous times. She was a steadying force in world affairs for 70 years. As a leader, she was known for being a good listener, welcoming and valuing the opinions and advice of those around her. She recognized that while we lead in a specific moment, we must always have a perspective on the history that has led us to this time and the future to which we are progressing. And finally, she brought resiliency. There were certainly challenging times during her reign, often related to her children, but throughout it all, she found ways to stand above the fighting and to remain in her leadership role. In Judaism, the traditional blessing upon seeing a monarch is Shenatan michvodo levasav adam, thanking God who has given divine glory to flesh and blood. It is perhaps a fitting blessing for a lady who served as a head of state for 70 years. But together, these words and her example also feel appropriate for this Shabbat here at Temple Shir Tikva as we install our new board, who have stepped up to assume the mantle of leadership with a sense of duty and responsibility to our community and the Jewish people as a whole. And so if I could call up all of the board members who are here this evening to join Cantor Hollis and myself on the bimah. All those board members who are here, please make your way up to the bimah. Don't be shy. You've already said yes to being on the board. This is the easiest part. And just to name those people, those who are here and those who aren't, we've got on the board Jonathan, Jay-Z, Tara, Adam, Richard, Rachel, Michael, Julie, Jen, Jackie, Harry, Jill, Shayna, Mike, Jill, Beth, Rebecca, Ginny, Roy, Sasha, and Jay. And Mike. And whichever, with all the board members, while we've had this before, I think it's worth noting one of the nice things about the board, if you gather around, is that we have in our board both a founder member and a child who had her bat mitzvah as a member of this community, which is a wonderful way in which we incorporate so many generations. It is an honor to be up here with you, the leaders of our community. For some of you, this is the first time that you are standing up here as leaders of our congregation, and some of you have stood up here multiple times before. You are shlichim, emissaries for our community, and you have taken on the role as our chosen emissaries, representing us, inspiring us, and leading us. As we stand with you together on this bimah in the synagogue amidst the congregation which is your community, we think back to Abraham and Sarah and the original call of Lech Lecha. Judaism began with a call to journey away from the home to an unknown land full of promise and potential. Each one of you has traveled your individual journey to reach this point. For some, it has been a journey which has involved many stops along the way. For others, it is a journey which began almost around the corner. For all of you, it is a journey you have taken as individuals and families to stand here together as the board of our community. And we thank your families at this time for sharing you with us, because we'll be taking you away from them numerous evenings and weekends in service of Temple Shir Tikva.